Okay, so I get to go through and just talk about a couple of things. I have no titles, so I just said coaching concepts. I thought it was going to be interesting. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I don't know if you know, they've added a new. I'm trying to remember, and I do think I knew John Cecile before Wi-Fi, but how boring would his clinic be if he wasn't able to do, and I think I just think you could have a session going through his computer. That would just be the whole title, and it could go on for days. Let's just see what John has on his computer. We've done several clinics together. I'm driving down the interstate. He has his laptop open, making me watch videos while I'm driving. I'm going, okay, John, okay. And then we get to the hotel, and everybody else gets out of their cars and goes in, and we're sitting in the parking lot, and people are looking out the window going, what are John and Cecile doing still sitting in the car? Oh, I'm watching videos. Okay. But absolutely a great They don't know you've got those on there? Okay. So how cold is it here for me? I actually have on an undershirt today. In Tallahassee last week it was cold. I took a picture of the TV. They don't even know how to spell frosty. It was forsty in Tallahassee last week. No, yeah. I thought I'd just go through a couple of pictures. So in 2012, I got to be team leader for the USA Women's Sitting Team. Absolutely incredible experience to go live in the Olympic Village. And didn't know much about sitting volleyball, but I did a lot of clinics with their coach. And it was really fun. And if you've never represented your country and gotten a credential and lived in the village, it's really pretty interesting. So I was just trying to do some photography work, but here they are. We're practicing in a competition facility, playing against China. Lost to them the last two Paralympic Games. We've gotten silver, and China keeps winning. And it's just incredible to watch these athletes move around on the floor and do blocking drills, and they're incredible. So I really learned a lot. I shagged a lot, because they turn around and look at you and you're going, okay, I can go get that. I did a lot of shagging. And it's cute, you know, you just try and keep the balls in there and you're helping, but they do kind of look at you sometimes and go, okay, could you move a little faster? Put on some great clinics and children's events, and we went over to Amsterdam ahead of time. And this is Carrie Miller. Carrie Miller, I don't know if you've ever seen her advertisement on TV. She was in the Army, served overseas, came back, got hit by a drunk driver, lost both of her legs. And so the gentleman pulls her out there, and she's explaining to the kids what happened. And it's just, they share so much. They are so normal, and you know, maybe we're not disabled now, maybe we will be, but just the way they've handled it, it's just incredible. So they got a silver medal. The worst job in the world is to try and get that losing team out of the locker room and say, you start smiling, they are waiting for you on the medal stand, because there's just one team that's really upset, and it's the silver medalist. And you're going, come on, I'm sorry, I know you're mad at me, we have to be out there in 30 seconds. So the other greatest feeling is following your flag into a stadium. And so I just kept trying to get the right one at the right time, but that's really an incredible experience. The other incredible experience is John Cecile was there. Did he leave? I think he went to eat. So John was there as one of the officials on the committees and everything else. And so I took a picture of him eating. If you've ever eaten across from John, it's just, you know, it's like I don't know how he eats so much. We went to eat last night, and then he stopped and bought a bag. I mean, we went and ate. He wanted the biggest steak. Then he went next door and got a half a gallon of ice cream, or a pint of ice cream, a bag of chips, and some kind of candy. And I said, I clearly need to eat more. I'm not eating up. He just got put in the AVCA Hall of Fame in Seattle, and it was very exciting. It was very exciting for him. Pardon me? I know he is. Here's a picture of the sitting team. I mean, they just throw it all on the ground. It's matching nail polish and shoes, and they strap on things and just walk out of there and go bicycle riding. And anyway, it's pretty interesting. Here's a teary-eyed girl that let me put on her medal, and that's another great experience too if you haven't done that. Okay, so a couple things from the World Grand Prix I talked to you about earlier. With Karch this summer, everything, every conversation, every meeting was about how can we win the next point. I feel so guilty of as a coach saying, we just need 5 more points. Well, clearly I was way too far out there. What can we do right now to win the next point? And that was every conversation. What is it right now for just the next point? That's all we're worried about. So I think that's really a great concept to keep in mind. Let me go back here. There's my guy. Did you finish eating already?
That's what you look like when you're on jury, which is a really dorky job.
Yeah. Okay. Also, I think we really need to handle adversity. I thought Karch did a remarkable job of this. He celebrated it. He'd go, oh, this is awesome. So we're in a practice in Brazil. They are pressure washing the concrete streets. I mean, they're loud. They're drilling over here. It's loud. It's dusty. It's dirty. And he goes, isn't this the best weight we've ever practiced? Don't you love this? And they're going, this is really good. But why not act like it's all part of the plan? We're going to come up against this stuff. They're going to try and beat us. They'll do whatever we can. And then, and referee calls. Somebody'd make a bad call and he'd go, this is great. I love this. Now let's see how we can respond instead of being upset. So just act like, oh, what an opportunity for us. So a different way to kind of look at things. I told you he had some new words. What was the serve? Flean, flat and clean serves. And this, anybody guess what that is? Pardon me? This is passing, quiet and simple. He wanted quimple, passing, quiet and simple. We were in Japan, and these young kids were over on another side of the net, and we've seen the elastic that you put up along from antenna to antenna, right, to work on blocking and do some different things. They had it at the bottom on the floor, about a foot above the net. They had a piece of elastic. I'm not sure, to keep it from people from going over, under the net, or whatever, but if you've never seen that in concept, we kind of were going, what are they doing? But I thought it was a great idea to keep kids, make sure they're aware that that line is there. Here's just a quick picture of our group. The nicest thing before every main competition, they always take a group shot and then you're out of there. Okay, so here's my random thoughts. This is so important. Have fun. I can't say the F word enough. Fun, fun, fun. It's just important. So I have some former players that have gone on to coach, and they'll call and say, oh, Cecile, our team's not playing very well. They're not doing this, they're not doing that. And do you have any suggestions? And I'll say, what are you doing to have fun? And they'll go, oh, crap. Okay, thanks, bye. I forgot it needs to be fun. You know, we get so focused on so many other things. So at Florida State University, we have a great doctoral program in sports psychology. So all those doctoral students need somebody to study and to work with. So they wanted to come over and work with our teams. And I said, well, I'd rather you work with me. Study me. I'm going to be doing this for a long time. So they did. So they would just follow me around. They'd come to practice. They'd listen to everything I'd say. We'd lose a couple of sets. I'd stand up to talk to my team, and they'd go, this is critical to the rest of your season, how you handle this. And I went, well, that blew that talk. Now what am I going to? I'm going to have to be nice. And so it's important to have people study you. And so they were in practice, and John was talking about they only contacted the ball for 27 seconds. They asked me, how long is the ball actually in play? And I said, I have no idea. I've never thought of that. So for like a 3-hour practice or a 3-hour match, the ball was only in play, whistle to whistle, maybe 6 minutes. It could have been 4 minutes. It wasn't very long. So what's happening to them mentally, and what are they thinking about in between the rallies. So that's a whole lot of time and a whole lot of space. You know, they run together in the middle, they say something, they do something, but there are so many other things they could be thinking of. So direct their thoughts in between those, not the contacts, but whistle to whistle. They're moving, and then the ball's dead. Where are they going? Let's get them on track for what we want them to think about. We spend so much time talking about them. We need to teach them. We need to show them. You know what? I think we're the problem. You know, you think the problem's somewhere else. How many of you have videotaped yourself coaching? And did you like it? How did you do? Did you keep stats? So I think videotape yourself and watch and see what your body language is like, how much time you spend talking to people, how much do you walk around, are you coaching, what are you doing? And then also audio tape yourself. I think you need to listen to yourself and how are you saying it. Now I started coaching long before electricity, but I had a manager walk around. I said, write down everything I'm saying. He's going like, okay. Sally, get your hand up. Sally, get your hand up. And I wanted to know when I had told Sally 7 times to do something, because then I was going to ratchet it up another level. But I just had him follow me around. Again, this was before tape recorders or something. Try that. Just strap on a mic and see what you're saying. So then I had another administrative assistant who was getting her PhD in communications. So she wanted to study my voice. When you work on a campus, they've got to study something, and I'm just fine. Study me. So they put on a microphone like this, but it had a little apparatus, and they measured that. I had to go to a padded room and yell and talk normally, and they measured my voice. And they wanted to just find out if there's a certain way to talk, and if you talk, as women particularly, the louder we try and talk, the higher our voice gets, the more insecure we sound. And so you think about the movie Tootsie, you know, where they're trying to get the taxi and they go, taxi, taxi, taxi. So, you know, I needed to try and lower my voice and sound more confident, cup my hands to be heard instead of trying to yell. So they strapped this thing on and they set it at a certain level. They thought it might be unhealthy if my 2 red lights came on at the same time. You know, and so my team spent most of the time going, lights are on, Cecile. And I went, stop it. Okay, really. Do not pay attention to that. And then they measured, so for 3-hour practice, how much time do you think I spent talking? Not too loudly, just period. 2 hours and 45 minutes. Is that embarrassing? You know, I think sometimes we think that talking is good, and I've heard a couple of different speakers say that talking's not always good. I think we talk too much. And so how many of you have a pet, a dog? How many have a dog? And are there certain words that you say that your dog just wakes up out of a dead sleep, like walkie, cookie, what is it? Park. Treat, park, walk? Okay. You would like your athletes to respond like that when you open your mouth. You'd like them to go, she said something. It must be important. Now, I've never gotten myself to that. She said something important. I never got that far. But I would like for them to go, okay, so shut up and let them work through it. We coach on the averages, watch them do it for a while, and then instead of talking, ask questions. Ask questions. I think one of the speakers said once they teach a skill, they start asking the athletes just to see if they understood, but then also, the more they learn about it, the better they'll be able to do it. We could go, another team I was with, we went to China, and the national junior team, and we had the Chinese coach run a practice. No English, no interpreter, and practice went very smoothly, and didn't have to say a word. So, it kind of proves the point. We don't have to talk. Game plans and timeouts, that should be very specific to what you want to do. So here's how we want to serve, here's how we want to do this, here's how we want to run. And then that's what you should talk about during timeouts. You don't need to go off onto anything else, but just go back to, remember we talked about this ahead of time and this is what we want to do. Remember we talked about this ahead of time, and just, a few things. It doesn't have to be very long. Just try and get their message back. How many of you have heard of deliberate practice and the 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to become an expert? 10 years or 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. That's Dr. Erickson and me. He teaches at Florida State. So when I figured out he was at Florida State, I said, okay, you want to go to lunch? So I get to meet with him periodically. He's fascinating. So deliberate practice means very focused. And I'm thinking of the 75 balls that we've got in the basket, and we hit one and it flies off, and we hit another and it flies off, and we hit another. And they don't really focus on this because they know there's another one coming, but there's not. Think about this one ball, and let's dig this one ball. And after you've dug it, I want you to process it and think about it. So you could spend less time in practice if we slowed it down. And I'm just as guilty. Faster is better. It gives them stress, but it's so ungame-like. And I get angry at myself going, it doesn't have to be fast. So give them time to process what they're doing. Does that make sense? Here, try this concept. One time I said, we're just going to use one ball. I put the rest of them away. I said, we're practicing with one ball and we're working on defense. So, we hit a ball at them, dug it up. They turned around like we had another basket. I went, no, those are gone. We don't have those. That's our ball. Everybody go get it. Team Shag, go. They had to all run to the corner, get the one ball. So all of a sudden, this one ball was the most important thing, and the others were in the closet. So when we talk about 10,000 hours, it doesn't mean rapid fire. It's got to be a good 10,000 hours. All right. Keep the non-starters engaged. Call out their names at practice. Thank them for coming. I'm so glad you could be here. It's great to see you today. The starters hear their names all the time. The non-starters need to get a little love too, even if it's not about something that they're doing on the court. Okay, again, reading the game is just so important to start thinking about how we can get them to respond to different things. So we want as much game-like as possible so they can see the hitter's approach, see where the ball, there's so many different things. So we've talked a little bit about teaching and your teachers in a graduate school. We don't give the graduate students the answers because we don't know what the questions are going to be in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. We have no idea what the questions are going to be. So we have to teach people how to think, how to critically think about everything so they'll be able to come up with the answers when these new questions. You want to do the same thing with your athletes. I can't put you in every situation, but I can teach you how to think about it. Okay? So the hell and heaven, I've never heard that before, but I like that. But you would rather have them looking through hell right there instead of over the heavens to see the ball. So we want to have them looking through the net a lot more. So when John was talking, I'm over there writing down notes. So I too had chairs on the court and had them serve at the chairs. And we were doing a pregame talk and we had a reporter in the locker room with us. And before they went up to the court, I said, now remember, when we're serving, we don't want to hit the chairs. They ran up and the guy comes over to me and he goes, God, coach, do you really think they're going to serve it into the chairs? And I went, oh, not those chairs. No, not the chairs out there. I mean, and it was a long story, but I actually said, don't serve into the chairs. We could have had some seams. Okay, so Wu Dan was an assistant of mine. She was the MVP for the 88 Olympics. Absolutely fascinating. And we talk sometimes about running our kids, and we run a mile, and we've got to test them, and we've got to do this or that, and we do long sprints. And she said, Cecile, and she was a right side hitter. She said, you can make me run, you can make them run as much as you want to, but I am the fastest, and I will always be last. But on this one part of the court, inside the attack line, from the middle to the antenna, I'm the fastest woman in the world. And she was. I mean, she could hit it quick. Her feet were just boom, and the ball was down. But sprint, no. So train inside, give them an area of the court and challenge them to be the fastest people in the gym in just this little area. If they master that little area, we don't need to do lots of sprints and lots of runs. We talked before about coaching on the averages. Watch somebody do something several times before you start tearing into them. Make sure you know what they're doing. Parents. I didn't really have a problem with parents. When you're giving somebody a scholarship, they don't really ride you too hard because you can say, you know what, here, you take her back. I did have a guy call me from New York one time, and he said, Cecile, I don't understand why my daughter's not starting. She started last year, and I went, wow, that's fascinating. So I've been in practice all this time, and you're up in New York, and I just want to learn as much as I can. How exactly did you pick out your starting lineup? And just, share that with me. And he goes, you know what I mean? I went, no, I really don't. I mean, how are you able to decide this when you're never, come to practice and watch, and then I will have a discussion. So I think you want to make sure you keep parents involved, encourage them to come to the gym, at least I would, have them sit there and watch, and then they'll start understanding, okay, they do practice serving, they do practice this, they compete against each other. She clearly is better than my daughter, but I still don't agree. So I coached some 14s, and we were at the High Performance Championship a couple of years ago, and we finished. Most of the teams were cleared out, and all their little parents were sitting over here in the bleachers. And so instead we lost. So instead of talking to them and them going over and talking to them, I thought, let's just go over and sit with your parents, and I'll talk to you about the match. And they went, really? And I went, yeah, let's go over there. So we went over there, sat down, and the parents were staring at me like, and I said, okay, well, I thought we did this well. I thought we needed to work on that, and you did a great job, and maybe tomorrow we want to do this. And I said, okay, anybody, parents, any questions? And they went, no, ma'am, thank you, we're good. But why not let them listen? I wasn't going to be coaching anymore. I didn't really care. Call me if you have any questions. But, I just want them to understand the process. So there's a place in Houston, Dallas, Ruth Nelson. Does anybody know the name Ruth Nelson? Great coach, coached Flo Hyman, coached a lot of great athletes. She has a Bring Your Own Parent Club, BYOP. And the parents are the tossers. You can see the mothers and fathers are tossed to the kids. And it is absolutely the cutest thing I've ever seen. I was in Dallas for, I think, the ABCA convention, and I went to their practice, and they are just so cute. Go on, look up their website, Bring Your Own Parent, and she's got some great ideas. Safe sport. Let's talk about this just a little bit. Anybody familiar with this concept? This is getting a lot of coverage, as it should in the United States, but the USOC came up with this program, and volleyball's taking it on. So USA Swimming banned something like 37 coaches for life because of sexual abuse. 37 coaches for life. And everybody kind of went, whoa, we need to do something. Now, volleyball in the United States has been doing background screening for years. And so we're really proud of that. And our CEO, Doug Beal, put out a press release saying, we've been doing things for years, we're really proud. And I sent him an email and I went, really, Doug, this is all you got? This is it? And so then they put you in charge of a commission. And I went, okay, fine, I'll be in charge. Fine. So the USOC, again, has set up a lot of different things, and USA Volleyball is copying on that. But let me just talk to you about a couple of things. So some of my points were, we've been talking to the coaches for years. We need to educate the athletes. This is not appropriate. This shouldn't be happening. And we need to protect our coaches. Coaches should not put themselves in an environment where somebody could say something happened. So it's important for everybody. So lots of different abuses. Obviously sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, and you've seen it with some of the Rutgers coaches and other things. There's Coach Maxwell. I don't know where he coaches in the United States, but there's a great video of him. The girl doesn't go for the dump when it comes over. He picks up the ball, it bounces toward him, and throws it and just knocks this girl in the head. And you can hear the parents videotaping going, yeah, he does that all the time. And you're like, what? So he really took a beating on YouTube once that started. But, you know, we just don't need to treat people like that. So lots of that information. Policies on texting. If people are texting their 14-year-old athletes in the middle of the night, that's not a good idea. That just shouldn't be happening. So there are a bunch of policies that they've established, recommendations for clubs that, you know, maybe only text from 7 in the morning until 9 at night. And if you're texting a minor, text their parents too. They need to be copied on everything. So think about that. Social media, just some policies on that. A 2-adult rule. You want to give a private lesson, that's fine. Somebody else just needs to be in there with you. So just to be smart and make sure that we want volleyball to be the safest sport to play. And the other thing, unfortunately, that happened is, you know, people think about, oh, she's been like that for years, or he's done that for years, and that's just the way he is. And no one ever reports. And then, unfortunately, the Penn State situation came along, and it became pretty clear, no matter who you are, a president of a university, a football coach, you are responsible for reporting to someone until it gets taken care of. So make sure you remember that. And then their website, USOC Safe Sport, again, it's just manuals of material that you might want to take and use with your clubs. Okay, so Cal Berkeley's added, now Washington's added, so I think they're up to 40 teams in the United States, 40 schools that now have sand volleyball. You know why they don't call it beach volleyball, right? Well, there's not a beach in Nebraska, and they'd like Nebraska to play sand volleyball, and so they call it sand volleyball. And so now, you know, you've got all these other teams that have added it. Scholarship opportunities, again, for kids. I think it's going to be really big. So look for that to be another NCAA championship. Final thoughts. Build confidence. If that's all you do, you give those young kids confidence. They come into your gym and to leave feeling better. They have to feel better. If they're not better as players, that's not a big deal. They need to feel better about themselves as people. There's just so much going on where so many other people run them down and hazing. I mean, it's just, you know, it's just terrible. Make them feel good to come into your gym. Team building is really important. If you talk to especially young women, they play for social reasons. They want to have fun together. They want to get to know each other. And I don't know if you've ever heard that men battle to bond. Have you heard that? Okay, men battle to bond, and women or girls bond to battle. And so you get some young girls and they're tight, they will tear you up. I'm telling you. Right, women? I'm back. Make it fun again. Challenging. I'm not talking about goofy, but just make it fun and interesting and entertaining for them. Research on winning and losing. They do that in sport management, NBA, NFL, Canadian hockey. All the billions of dollars on winning and losing. And what did they find out? You're going to want to write this down. Half the teams lose. 2 teams play, someone's losing. Do they have ties in hockey? Okay, well maybe in this country it doesn't, maybe that's not real. So you absolutely as a coach, you have to be able to handle that in an appropriate way. And your kids, I mean, use on that to build, not be depressed. So make sure you understand that. And I think most importantly, it's a daily process. You got to enjoy every day. You know, how do we get to the next point? How do we do this today? How do we do, and then, you know, stop focusing on how do we win this championship? You know, how do we do something down the line? But every day should be good. Thank you for being a coach, most importantly, because I think it sounds and it looks like we've got lots of good people here. And then my last slide, when you're in deep trouble, say nothing and try to look like you know what you're doing. So there's the little fox. You guys ready for lunch? Hey, did we, oh. Got it. Thank you, Coach.